One of my favorite things lately has been talking about Kamala Harris as she is on her book tour making a complete and utter fool of herself. Look, I am a simple guy who is grateful that Christianity is on the rise, that Bobby Kennedy's out there trying to end chronic disease, and that Kamala Harris is not president. So, of course, I will continue to talk about these things unapologetically and happily, and more on today's episode of the Adam C. Moreno Show. So, like, subscribe, and let's jump right in. First up, Bernie Sanders, AOC, who many would consider to be the leaders of the Democratic Party, along with people like Chuck Schumer and more, are on CNN laughing, smiling, while federal workers across this country will be going without pay because they want the shutdown to continue. Watch this.
What does that need to look like before you would vote to reopen the government? Or is it commitment from the White House and Republicans enough?
No doubt.
I mean,
the president is a very honest man. And if he says something, man, you could take it to the bank.
So you're saying his word is not enough?
Bankruptcy court.
His word? No.
So what do you need to see? What commitments from?
I think we need to see ink on paper. I think we need to see legislation. I think we need to see votes. And I think we need to see these things pass on the floor of the House and the Senate and signed by President Trump. I don't accept IOUs. I don't accept pinky promises. That's not the business that I'm in.
You know, not only do I think Bernie Sanders is a little bit more cuckoo than usual, but something that I think is just super annoying in general is that AOC is just out here just smiling, laughing along with Bernie Sanders while they will continue to be taking and absorbing all of their checks because they're not worried about their money. They're not worried about their business. They're not worried about missing their mortgage payments. They'll still get paid. They still have their homes. Bernie has a lot more than one. But you know what? That's why they are not in a rush because their wallet is not on the line. Yours is. But that is not all because look at this. They also go on to say that they think the government should be open, but they don't know how to get it done.
Particularly as a TSA employee, I represent LaGuardia Airport, and so I know very, very well all the hard work that you all do and put in. And
yes, ma'am.
And you all deserve a dignified workplace. You deserve a safe workplace, and you deserve the paycheck that you are working for. What I believe the best thing that we can do is to reopen the government right now.
I agree. And guess what? We know how to make it happen. Either Democrats fold and pass the spending bill as is, or both parties compromise to reopen the government. And that is actually the opinion that most Americans have, according to the latest YouGov polls. Look at this. You can see right here, 6% of Democrats and 69% of Republicans would prefer that lawmakers compromise on the budget. Look at that. Wow. So do you agree? Go ahead and let me know in the comments. And now I'd love for us to take a look at Kamala Harris last night because this post went mega viral because she was sharing a list of her achievements and said that she was the most qualified candidate to ever run for president. Quite unbelievable. Check it out.
What I've done and the fact that I was elected district attorney for 2 terms as the first woman elected attorney general of the state of California, ran the second largest Department of Justice in the United States, second only to the United States Department of Justice. I was the United States Senator, second black woman elected in the history of the United States Senate, and I was the first woman vice president of the United States. So there are those things that I needed to make sure that people knew.
That is a decent resume, but go ahead.
Well, some people have actually said I was the most qualified candidate ever to run for president.
I like the some people say. Very nice, but go ahead.
I'm just speaking fact.
Yeah.
But for example, I
am just speaking facts. That is hilarious. In all of history, most qualified, bold statement. I personally don't know if I would go that far. And I just thought that this was highly entertaining. One person says that she is drunk again, which is hilarious. Derek Evans, look at that. Ted Cruz, senator for Texas, says, okay, no human being has ever uttered those words. Adam Carolla also in another post, right? This was shared a few days ago, but he said, just reminding everyone that we dodged a bullet. Look at that. And you know what? I really don't intend to be mean whenever I share clips of Kamala Harris, acting this way. But come on. I look at how Kamala Harris has operated throughout this past year post-election season, and it is just hard to imagine that these moments that we've seen President Trump come through, whether we're talking about Israel, Hamas, tariffs, the strikes against Iran, it is hard to imagine how Kamala Harris would have responded in the exact scenarios had she been, right? And I will add this. She is the former vice president. A lot of people are like, well, man, why do you spend so much time talking about her? Well, for one, I'm always committed to talking about what people online feel is important, and whether or not you agree with Kamala Harris or her politics, she is on her book tour now, and she is attempting to rewrite history when she talks about being the most qualified candidate, when she talks about this election being the closest election in history. It's like, it's just utter nonsense. And secondly, Mark Kelly, senator for Arizona, just said that Kamala Harris would be a strong candidate for 2028. Don't believe me? Look at this.
Do you think that Kamala Harris would be a strong candidate in 2028?
Candidate, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, she was the nominee last time. I think
you would encourage her to run.
I think she would be incredibly strong. I think you're going to have, a dozen, if not more, folks running.
So Kamala Harris, only by some miracle, has maintained her relevancy almost a year after her disastrous loss last November. And some people, like Senator Mark Kelly, still believe that there is a fight in her. So time will tell. And I also wanted to share this in case you might have missed it. Zohran Mamdani, the person who is very likely to be the next mayor of New York City, went on Fox News to talk about just how exactly he will be paying for his audacious ideas. Short answer, it's taxes. Check it out.
So a lot of individuals in this city pay more than 50% of their income in taxes. When you talk about a fair share, how much more than, what is the fair share? What's the number?
I've said that we should increase personal income taxes by 2%.
Is fair?
And my point is this.
Give up more than half of your income. That's
if you're making $1 million in New York City, or more than that, you can afford to pay 2% more. And the reasons you can afford to do so is because that money will be used to better your quality of life as well.
Yeah.
Because when I speak to the wealthiest New Yorkers, I hear concerns about the cleanliness of the city, the quality of life in the city, questions of public safety. This money is the money that will be used to deliver on those things so that we can ensure that we have a return on investment for all of the money that we are raising and spending right here across the 5 boroughs.
Look, you know what? He might be a very compelling communicator, but I'm sorry. You know what the problem is? Free things don't exist. Someone is paying for it. And I'm sorry, but if the richest people in New York are already getting taxed 50%, what on earth is an extra 2% going to do? Why would 50% be insufficient, but 52% is somehow the magic number? Is that the boiling point? You go ahead and tell me, but that is why I am skeptical. Maybe I'm being a little too negative. Maybe I'm being naive. Maybe I just don't understand the vision, but you can let me know. Anyways, that is the video, and I'd love to know your thoughts from Kamala Harris to Zohran Mamdani to AOC and Bernie Sanders. Let me know what you think about all this in the comment section, and if you made it this far, please consider liking, subscribing, turn on the bell, and I'll see you next time. Episode's over already? Geez, that was fast. Well, they say beautiful things do not last forever, but feel free to watch and listen to another one of these episodes if you're interested in those conversations as well. Also, this next part is huge. Make sure to obliterate that like and subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never skip a beat. I also have a newsletter where we dive into the news, politics, and ideas that shape our future. If you're interested in signing up, I'd really appreciate that. Anyways, that's the end of this episode. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I'll see you next time.